Hi, I'm Zorianna, and I'm here with Salim and Liz, and today we're going to talk about the best movies of the year so far, 2014. Now, earlier we had Sean, Kevin, and Aaron give us their best of the year. Now it's our turn. Salim?
Sure, I'll start. My favorite of the year has actually already been done by two of our previous reviewers, Boyhood, so I'm not going to focus on that. I'm actually going to focus on my favorite summer movie of the year, which is Guardians of the Galaxy. I've been anticipating this movie ever since I heard about it. It was so obscure, and it was really Marvel taking a chance, but it turned out to be one of the most enthralling and hilarious movies I've seen. This space adventure that had Chris Pratt in it from Parks and Recreation, who was wonderful. The film was shockingly heartfelt. It had an incredible amount of storytelling, which for such a huge movie, I was not anticipating. And the action was fantastic. Actually, I loved it way more than the Avengers, and I'm still shocked with the amount of surprise that Marvel could bring. It was really just a fantastic film.
But how come it's also getting a lot of flack? There are some people who really just did not like it and said that it was a stumble on Marvel's part because it was a little maybe more on the sillier side, and it didn't really have a great script or fully established characters. Well, I mean, are they just wrong?
No, I completely, because I've actually had a lot of discussions between Avengers versus the Guardians, because obviously these are two movies that are filled with team-ups. Guardians works because it had character development, it had a great narrative, it was funny, it had more than just this huge action extravaganza, and it actually reminded me of classic action movies, Empire Strikes Back and Raiders of the Lost Ark, mainly because it didn't take itself too seriously. It was, again, funny, but our hero wasn't this guy who's indestructible. He was actually on his back for a majority of the movie, so I was able to actually identify with this character way more than any of the Avengers characters.
Liz, your pick is definitely the polar opposite of Guardians of the Galaxy. Tell me about yours.
Well, they both involve skin-tight suits. And I'm very nervous about talking about this because
I'm in rapt anticipation. What is it?
Well, Under the Skin.
No,
Under the Skin.
Oh no,
which I love.
Well, this is best of, not worst of.
What?
Yeah,
no, it's on my worst of.
Because
explain this to me, please.
The beauty in it. I thought it was wonderful. I'm a mark for this movie. It's more on the alternative side of the spectrum. It has a lot of long scenes of silence and characters looking in the mirror and looking at themselves and not really communicating, and I thought
not making any sense.
That makes
it's
it
a mystery.
Best.
Well, I like movies that you can't quite figure out immediately. I like movies that you think about for days afterwards. I like controversial films. There's this great scene in the movie where there's a man with a physical deformity, and you're wondering whether the film's going to be tender towards him or objective towards him.
I didn't care. I just wanted to get out of that theater. I mean, why would you want to figure something out that is so confusing and makes no sense and has no direction whatsoever of where it's going?
I think there's an internal logic to the film that might not be able to be easily summed up in a log line or something like that. I thought Scarlett Johansson was magnetic. I thought she was intense and exciting, and it was a really risky performance on her part.
Why? Because she strips down to her
I don't think it's all
skivvies?
about the nudity. I mean, she shows true vulnerability. She's trying to explore a character at the basis level. So I'm trying to figure out who she is, being completely alien to society.
Ooh, I see what you did. Look, I wanted to love this movie.
Yeah.
I like the director a lot, Jonathan Glazer. He's got
Me
a
too.
great
Sexy
visual
Beast
eye.
was great.
Exactly.
Yes.
I like Birth. Birth, anyone?
Yeah, no, I actually didn't see that, but I know that it's a fantastic movie. And so I was really disappointed because there were many moments where I'm looking around the theater, I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And other people were watching it, they're looking at me like, yeah, this doesn't make any sense.
It made me angry. I just sort of felt like I wasted time watching this movie. Yeah.
I like that there's no clear answer. And so that's what I enjoy most about this film.
I would say that my most favorite film was Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. And that was completely a film that I didn't expect to like. I'm not a fan of that entire ape franchise. It's not something I've always looked forward to see. But when I sat down to watch the film, I was really blown away for so many reasons. I really felt that Dawn was not really your typical summer film. It had these amazing, beautiful themes that I think really resonated with a lot of people. Anti-guns, anti-animal testing, rich themes of family. But coupled with that, there was just a lot of action, the type of action you would expect to see in a big summer blockbuster. Except with those deeper themes, the action that's unfolding it's not just a woohoo, go for it, or a villain versus, bad guy versus good guy. It was, you have this sympathy towards all sides involved because every one of them is fully formed and you really see their point of view. And also because of those themes, there's a tragic undertone to those action sequences. So as you're watching the action unfold, you're stirred inside. And that combination, I think, really made it riveting.
I've heard some people say that it's an Oscar contender. Do you think that?
Absolutely. Absolutely it is. I mean, it's well written, it's well directed, and it's well acted. It certainly has all those elements. Now, of course, we haven't entered the fall season yet, so who knows what the Interstellars of the world have, once they start coming out.
I do want to bring up a movie that I like that other people really like too.
Oh, really? something
we all can enjoy?
Wow. Thanks, Liz.
Woody Allen's Magic in the Moonlight.
Okay.
I thought it was wonderful. You always talk about Woody Allen. It's like there's one good one and one bad one.
He's hit and miss. Yeah, he is.
But this one was hit explosion fireworks for me. I thought it was romantic and charming. I thought it was like Mr. Darcy had grown up and was transported to a later time. Emma Stone really held her own in a Woody Allen film, and I think that was a lot of people went to this movie to see, can she be a Woody Allen actress? And she was great, and it was romantic. So it was a nice little whimsical treat.
I have a movie that I liked that was on the little side and not so grand. I loved Jon Favreau's Chef. Oh, yes. I thought, just from a pure visual standpoint, the shots of the food and all of that went into that was just, it was so lush and luscious, and it made me just want to eat afterwards. I was so hungry watching it. But setting that aside, there's themes of family and togetherness and what constitutes a family. And it doesn't have to be, the nuclear family that, we grew up with. And also Jon Favreau, I think this was a personal journey to him. Here's a guy who started independent film, went off to do the big Marvel movies, and then came back to do something smaller and simpler. And this really was that.
Yeah, no, I thought the movie was fantastic. I just wanted to go and eat every single thing that he was cooking. It was beautiful.
I think I put on 10 pounds just watching the film.
So my runner-up, and it's a very close runner-up, is another summer movie, Edge of Tomorrow, also known as Live, Die, Repeat. And I love this movie. I'm really sad though that it didn't make the money that it needed to, during the summer. And I was looking forward to this movie for a long time. And it's fascinating because they're able to bring such an enthralling story, great action, and for all intents and purposes, even though it's a Tom Cruise movie, we also have Emily Blunt in it,
who holds her own completely and is not just some throwaway woman.
And that's what I loved. She was actually the character that Tom Cruise was building himself to be eventually.
It was smart.
It was smart.
It was so smart.
And the reason why it works so well is that it did not take itself too seriously. It was actually quite funny at times, considering that it knew that this was kind of a preposterous premise, and some of the ways that he dies are actually kind of funny. And I think it helps the film to not be too heavy, and it made it be actually quite fun, in the end.
Well, let's recap our best of the year so far.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Under the Skin.
And Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
All right.
Cheers.
Two good movies.
Now, earlier we had Sean, Aaron, and
Kevin.
Kevin.
Thanks, sorry.